Welcome to the SourceLife Show. We feature the latest knowledge from experts around the world on living your ultimate life, covering all aspects of mind, body, spirit, and explore the latest thinking in personal growth and development. Join me, your host, Ayse D, in the ultimate exploration in becoming the best you possible. The SourceLife Show. Make your life a masterpiece.
Nikki Woods is an author of multiple books, speaker. She's a former producer and radio show host and is now the CEO of Nikki Woods Media. Her company specializes in helping experts and authors build a brand and platform to become the authority in their niche. And she helps them build a profitable business based on their passion and their purpose. She has over 20 years as a media professional and 5 years as an entrepreneur herself, and has lived and breathed her business. And now she helps others to achieve success in their own. So please welcome to the show, Nikki Woods.
I am super excited to be here. I think that this is one of my favorite things to talk about, and I am looking forward to talking about it with you and getting to know you and your audience.
Fantastic. So your background is in broadcast. You were a radio show host and a producer, but now you're a CEO and a marketing director. So how did you make that transition?
Well, I think that I realized pretty early on, and I think, you know how life happens kind of in transitions. I think I realized pretty early on that I was fortunate to have a platform, like to have a microphone and be able to talk to lots of people. And as I start to get the entrepreneurial spirit, I recognized that most entrepreneurs were not that lucky. So then, social media kind of happened and we were able to start creating our platforms. And so I learned a lot about social media and I would teach entrepreneurs how to build their platforms. And then we started doing marketing and branding. And when I decided I didn't want to be in radio full time anymore, I do freelance, but I'm not in it full time. I was like, well, let me teach them how to use the media now to build their platforms. So to be on fabulous shows like yours as an expert or a guest to kind of spread their message, right. Because there's still nothing more powerful than media. Yeah. So people can hear you and experience you and see you and make a decision if you're the right person to help them with whatever that is they're looking for. And so that's what I do now. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds for me. So, I get to be a boss. I get to tell people what to do. And I get to help entrepreneurs really build their platform so that they can build successful businesses.
Wow. And it's your website is Nikki Woods Media. And you have you have like a whole range of services that you offer in there, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, visibility is our focus, and there's so many different ways to do that. I mean, I think a combination of all of those is probably what's best, but we definitely, if it's branding that you're looking for, we can help that. But media is what I know. I mean, I've done it for 20 years. I was a producer for one of the most successful syndicated shows ever. And so I know what we look for. And I know how we look for it, and I know how to get it packaged. And so it really is my love. I mean, it's what I'm passionate about, and I love helping other people kind of discover the formula on how they too can get that media visibility and really be seen as an expert. Once you're on CNN, I mean, everybody knows you're like the expert. It doesn't matter where you went to school, doesn't matter what you've done. If you are on CNN, people are like, okay, she must know what she's talking about. So that's what I love.
Wow. So is it essentially a formula, as you said, that you can just follow, like anybody could follow?
I think anybody can follow it. I mean, I think the very core of it is discovering the value that you have to offer. Right. So it's like most people, they'll write a book or they'll have a song or they got a movie and they want to talk about the book or the song or the movie. And that really is not our job. It's not our job, even though it seems like it. It's not our job to sell your song or, get your movie to number one or get you on the bestsellers list. Our job is to provide value to our audience, no matter what that looks like. So if you're a movie star, you have a lot of entertainment value that our audience will enjoy. If you are an expert, then you have some kind of knowledge that could impact the lives of our listeners. So when you focus on the value as opposed to what you have to sell, then you have 100, well, not 100, maybe 80 times more the chance of actually getting an interview than if you focus on, hey, I got a new book out and I want to talk to your audience about it. I mean, it's just not our job.
Yeah. So that's that. I guess that's around the kind of obviously the value of the message and the authenticity of the person that's delivering it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point. I'm glad you said that, because I think a lot of people miss that, and I don't talk about that as much. I'm glad you brought that up. So yeah, showing up as who you are, and really being transparent and authentic, because then the people who need you, the way that you deliver what you have to offer, can find you. It's like when we decide, Beyonce is who I need to be like, so I'm gonna show up like Beyonce everywhere I go. People are gonna they're gonna know you're not Beyonce. You can only probably do a good minute of Beyonce. You know what I mean? You cannot live Beyonce's life. And so people can smell a fraud a mile away, and that will forever damage your brand. And so when you show up as authentic and you provide the value, trust me, your service will sell, your book will sell, people will go see the movie, people will buy the song because they've connected to you on a level that goes beyond what you offer. They've connected to you as a human being. And that really is the number one thing. And if you're talking to 8 million people, and only one tiny 1% of that connects with you, that could literally change your business. Just 1%, that could, half of a percent could literally change your business. I mean, what if you walked away today? You do an interview and you walk away with 100 new clients. Just 100. Out of 8 million people, you're able to land 100. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. And so really harnessing the power, and then, obviously getting all the other stuff in place, like your branding and your marketing, and you got to be active on social media and doing all of that. You can build a very successful business.
Oh. And so what sort of stage do people come to you at? Have they already written a book? Are they thinking about writing a book? I mean, where are they?
Well, we get them in different stages. And so we're able to kind of walk them through a lot of different processes. I mean, I think what's great about me is because, well, I'm great. No, I'm just kidding. What's good about what I offer, it's a good mix of the media outreach, because I mean, it's like I was telling somebody, I was like, my Rolodex is sick. Someone's like, what is a Rolodex? I dated myself and was trying to be hip all at the same time. So I have a lot of contacts because they're like my colleagues, they're like my friends. But I also am an entrepreneur, and I know you have to have certain things in place, or media doesn't matter. Yeah. So you can go on and you can talk to 8 million people, but if you don't have a lead magnet, for instance, or you don't have a nurturing process, then that, you won't be able to harness the people that are really interested in you. You may go get some sales, but most people don't buy based on an interview. They may go Google you, they'll follow you on Instagram, they'll get to know you, but it's much more powerful to get them in your funnel system so you can direct the conversation and they're not just kind of hanging on out there. Yeah. And so I help people set that up. Okay. So I really want people not just to get the media, but I also want them to make some money. And so having a system is great. So people who've never gotten media, we work well with them because we can get them all set up. And because I have such great contacts and they're on, international and national levels, if you've already gotten some media and you're ready to take it to the next level, we can help you do that too.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, I mean, obviously there's a lot that needs to be done if you're just starting out.
There's a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot that needs to be done. And I'm not the one that you should go to in the very beginning. Right? I'm very clear with people. This is not something that you should really consider if you just now starting to build your business. I mean, I think there's other things that you need to put your money towards that are going to be more immediately impactful than getting media. And I'm not in this just to get, a paycheck. I mean, I'm in it to make an impact too. And I only can do that when you're ready for it. Obviously, we can get some things in place, but you can't just come and say, oh, I want to be a business owner and now I want to get media because it'll help my business. I mean, that's not going to work. It's not going to be beneficial for you or for me. So yeah, sometimes you have to say, come back. I used to say all the time, it's like so funny, like, because I'm like, I am not a life coach. Like, I am not the person that you want to come to, like, if you are standing on the edge of anything. But you have to be very clear about that. You have to be very clear about what you do and what you don't do so that you get the right clients. I think one of the biggest issues in our industry is that we just want to take everybody. Because it is hard being an entrepreneur. You have to secure, your monthly income, your yearly, your annual income. And so sometimes you want to just take everybody because it'll generate that revenue. But at the end of the day, you end up doing yourself a disservice because either you don't want to do it because you're not really passionate about it, or you're not that good at it. And so then people are saying not so nice things about you. Or people just get confused and they don't know what to come to you for at all because you're doing this and this, we're making, we're knitting over here and we're having bake sales over here. And we're trying to get your life together over here. I mean, it's like we try to do everything and you can't. You have to really be very specific and clear about what you do so that people can. You seem like the kind of person that believes in like energy and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Just a bit. She says, hiding the crystals.
Right. I'll show you my crystals and you'll show me yours. And so I really believe if it's muddy and you're not clear, people can't say yes to you. And so once you're crystal clear about what you do and who you help, because we can't help everybody. So one of the things that I was very clear about when I left radio, because I was always dealing with celebrities, is that I didn't want to do media for celebrities. Right. Like those aren't my people anymore. It's like I really wanted to help people that did not have access to media like celebrities do. And so I work with speakers and authors and experts and people who are really trying to be seen as, that authority. I tell people it's not even good. It's like everybody's an expert now. Did you get that on social media? Everybody is an expert.
Yeah.
So my thing is like, now you want to be an authority because all the experts are is just another voice in the conversation. Like you want to lead the conversation. You want to be at the forefront. So I always tell people we take the experts and we make them authorities by putting them in the media. But yeah, I mean, so I'm really clear about who I work with. It's not everybody.
You need to be an authority, not an expert now, because
everybody in the tweet says that they're an expert. They may be. I mean, I'm not hating or anything.
Well,
There's just so many now. So it's like, how do you now distinguish yourself among this new level of, you gotta go one level up, right? And so that's being an authority.
Yeah. And and as you said, because obviously when you look on Facebook now, everyone's selling a 997 course in something. So it's kind of like, well, where do I go?
Myself included.
Mine's coming on the market soon.
Right. And I think that that's great. I mean, I think that people owning their value and their knowledge, and I mean, when you've done something for 20 years, I mean, you know something about it, right? Sure. And so really, and I think as women, we don't do that enough. Like, we just don't own it. It's like, you kind of like, oh yeah, I had a job. No, you 20 years? That is, man. And so really monetizing that in a way you might not be able to do in the workplace, I think is smart. So certainly develop all the programs you can. But like I said, I mean, there's just still now so much noise. Yeah. So, people are really looking to distinguish themselves. And so you have to find other ways to kind of be like, oh, here I am, over the fray. To get yourself out there.
Yeah. So the books that you've written are both non-fiction and fiction. So are there any that are related to your?
So I started writing novels first because I just was an avid reader, and I really I like stories. I think that even fiction is a way of communicating, and that's really at the very heart of who I am. I'm a communicator.
Yeah.
So whether it's on social media, whether it's, when I was doing radio, I'm a communicator. And so to me, it was just, it's like real life themes kind of wrapped up in a layer of sugar because people's like, oh, it's not real. But really, we're talking about real things.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that years and years and years ago. But then when I really started looking at how I could help entrepreneurs, build their businesses, I thought about like the kinds of experts that we would book for the show. And 9 times out of 10, if I booked somebody, it was because they had a book. Right. And for whatever reason, even if you don't read the book, if they wrote a book, that they must know something to put it in 180 pages or however long the book is. So they must be an expert, right? So they must know what they're talking about. And that's just the natural assumption. Being an author establishes your credibility. And it's one way, but it's a really good way. And it's a really quick way. And so I was like, well, people need to write some books. And so I actually had a coach when I was looking at building my business so I could transition out of my job. And she was like, well, if you believe that, then you need to help people write books.
Right.
And so I started, so I wrote a book about why you should write a book. And then I started taking people and writing books with them. So I would do collaborations.
Okay.
And even though I don't talk about it a lot anymore because I'm not focused on helping people write books anymore, that's not like my main thing. But we probably helped more than 500 people become best-selling authors.
Wow.
And 80 of those probably have written a book with me. And so, you know, it's something that really, really works. It works really well. And like I said, you don't even have to read, like half the people I put, well, more than half, right? 98% of the people I put on the air, I never read their book, but they had a book. And when you say, you know, Nikki Wood's author of, people are like, oh, she must know what she's talking about. It's just a natural assumption. The book could be crap. They don't care. It's just the fact that you have a book. You know, I don't know. Half the people we interviewed, their books have been horrible. But they had a book, and that says something.
And obviously, and now it's so easy for people to write a book and get it published. And
absolutely. And there's still a little bit of a stigma, I think. I mean, I think that still people would, if a Random House called, they'd be like, yeah, we're on board.
Yeah.
But it's not nearly what it was. I mean, I think that people recognize self-publishing now as taking ownership of your project. I think that traditional publishing is great. I've been both. I've been self-published, I've self-published, and I've been traditionally published. Right. And I still have, a contract with a traditional publishing house. But I recognize the power of self-publishing. Like a traditional house, you can give them a book and it won't come out for another 16 months.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but some people will write a book and it'll be published next week. You have that kind of, let me tell you a story, a very scary story. My nephew called me one day and this was a time where I was avidly helping people write books. So he knew that that's what I did. He called me and he's like, he calls me Auntie Nana. He's like, Auntie Nana, I'm published. I'm on Amazon. He literally wrote the book, turned it into a PDF, uploaded to Amazon, and was published.
What?
He didn't do editing, didn't do it. He did a little graphic. It was horrible. It was horrible. Literally in a day, he had uploaded it, and then sometimes it takes a couple days for it to publish. So within like 3 days, he was a published author.
Wow.
I made him take it down. I didn't do it right, but he was literally a published author in 3 days.
So like literally, if you just kind of take away that fear, like what you could produce if you just went for it.
Right. I mean, obviously we're concerned about our brand, so you want to make sure that it looks professional. He's 21, so he ain't care.
Yeah.
But, as business owners, we want to be concerned about our brand. So you want to get a good cover design. You want to go through editing. You want to do all of that. Mm-hmm. But even if you do that, if you're focused and you want to get it done, you could get a book written and published in 2 to 3 months. It really takes no time.
That's crazy.
And so just think of that, like me writing a book today and then it doesn't come out till the beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
It's just, you just have to kind of weigh the pros and the cons, but self-publishing is a viable option for anybody. Yeah. And the great, even better news is that people don't want long books anymore, right? Like nobody has time to read a 180-page book. I mean, we're very focused on what we want to learn.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people will come to me and they'll have like this manifesto, and I'm like, nobody is going to read them. So it's like, if you have 10 chapters and each chapter is like 50 pages or whatever, that's 10 different books.
Wow.
Because people want just to know. They just want to know what they want to know. They don't want the fluff. They don't want all the backstory. They don't want to know why at 3 you decided that this is what you have to do. Like, they don't want any of that anymore. They just want to know what's going to help them get to the next level.
So there's been a bit of a shift then in the way people
absolutely
absorb information now. Obviously, I guess with social media and everything else, that we've got a shorter time span to read stuff.
Right. And we just really focus. So if you're giving people like the 10 steps to get out of debt, I mean, that might be 10 different, very focused books. I mean, somebody might just want to be able to clear up their credit score. Yeah. Somebody might just want to be able to learn how to save. Some people might need to learn how to write a budget. All of those are very different focused things that help you, get out of debt. But they're all separate subjects. And so you could write a book just on that and then have like a series. You got a series of 10 books.
Wow.
You're like James Patterson, you got all this stuff out there. I mean, it's amazing. It really is a great time for people to get their knowledge and their expertise out there in different ways. And books are definitely a very viable option.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now you've got me thinking. I'm like, oh, what series of 10 books could I write? Now my brain's ticking.
Yeah, okay, well, don't. That's a lot of pressure. Let's do 5. Let's do a 5-book series.
I'm going all out.
Yeah.
Your station.
You're listening to SourceLife Show. You can find us on iTunes Radio, Roku TV, YouTube, SoundCloud, and iHEART Radio. For more, visit sourcelifeshow.com. That's SOURCE lifeshow.com.
Your station.
So what would you say is your area of expertise then? Because it just sounds like there's such a broad remit there.
I think it's media. Like all day, I think it's media. I mean, I think I have a certain love for books and for authors. But I don't know if I love the process of helping people write the books anymore. Because I think writing is a very personal thing. And I think sometimes, even if you're not necessarily writing about something personal, it still kicks up a lot of stuff. And then that takes you right back to being a life coach, which is not the area that I want to be in. So I think it's media. I think that I'm really good at helping people position themselves. But I think that everything I've done, and it's interesting if you like look back on your life, you're like, well, why am I going through this phase? Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But I think everything that I've gone through, even writing fiction, has helped me become a better media coach, a better media visibility expert, because I can tell stories and I can help you tell the story. And that's what we all want. We all want the story. And so it's like, if you look at now, like social media, and if you go hear somebody speak, I mean, it's not even necessarily about them trying to tell you how to do something. It's the story and the way in which they tell you. And it's just fascinating to watch.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. It's about the story. You gotta tell a good story.
So I guess that's your expertise, is weaving the stories.
Weaving the story and helping you expose your value in a way that I think people can really connect to. You have 2 financial experts, and one has told you, how she was homeless for 2 years and had to learn the hard way how to, how to get a job and save money. And now, she's a millionaire and she's helping other people. Or you talk to, the guy who was born into a wealthy family and went to Harvard and then just kind of learned how to manage his family's money. I'm going to connect to the other one, because that's just, not that I've been homeless, but I know what it's like to struggle. I don't know what it's like to grow up in a wealthy family where, you just kind of continue. And so even though there are people that will connect to the Harvard guy, absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to know, you can't really tell who you're going to connect to if you don't know the story.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's important for the Harvard dude to tell the story just as well as it's important for the person who was homeless to tell the story, so you can find your people. You can find your people. So if they don't know your story, they can't connect to you.
Right. And how important is faith or spirituality to you?
It's everything. And I haven't talked about this a lot, and I'm going to really try not to get emotional. I don't care. But I think that, when I was deciding to, because even though I was building my business, I was still employed, right? So I was still getting that check, that good check every 2 weeks. I still had health benefits, vacation. It was, and I was like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, but not really. Yeah. Because I had this great safety net should somebody not pay an invoice or, Sure. And so when I decided I wanted to be a full-time entrepreneur, I mean, literally, I did everything that I could possibly think of to prepare myself. Because the one thing that I didn't want to do, and my teenage children definitely didn't want me to do, was to have to downgrade our lifestyle, right? Like, I didn't want to have to decide, if the lights were going to stay on, or we're going to, we're going to go on vacation. I didn't want to have to make those kinds of decisions. So I did everything possible to prepare, but you can't fully prepare for something you've never done before.
Sure.
So literally the first time somebody didn't pay an invoice, I got shook. I was like, this is crazy. And then when, they had all the storms, a lot of my clients were in Houston, like because I'm like 4 hours from Houston. So I have clients in Dallas, clients in Houston. When they had the storms, a lot of people were like, well, we got to find somewhere to live. So we can't really pay your and I got it. But obviously that impacted me a lot. And so it was hard. And so being an entrepreneur has been my greatest faith walk, I think. And so because you have to, not only do you have to trust whatever it is you believe in, that, but you have to trust yourself, and you really have to trust your ability, and you have to trust, what you've learned up until this point. It's just been incredible. It's just been an incredible growth period for me.
Yeah. And that's interesting because I mean, similar to you, my background, I did the whole corporate thing for, what was it, 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So 12 years of that. And then it's just that, that kind of, and you're cushioned, as you say, you are really cushioned in that environment and you're protected. But then to come out of that and set up your own business and not run back to that environment when it goes wrong, that takes strength.
You know what? But I tell people, like, I don't want to put judgment around people that do, because some people need to go back to their job. Like some people do not need to be entrepreneurs. Yeah. So you really need to do what's best for you. But I do think, like you said, I mean, it really does take a certain level of strength. And I think it's been really good because I'm a single mom. So I think it's really been good for my children as well, because now because they're teenagers. So now I include them in these decisions. So yeah, we can go to Jamaica for a week, but that probably means mommy's not going to really work. And then maybe, we're not going to, so we have to make these decisions. So if you're okay with that, then maybe, we don't go to Miami in April. We make these decisions together. And I think it's going to be really good for them.
And who would you say is your ideal client then?
My ideal client really is somebody who wants to be seen as an authority. Usually they end up being, some kind of an expert and have done the work already. So, I have relationship experts and fitness experts and financial experts. I have a guy who is an expert at making mini donuts. He makes these Hennessy mini donuts. Yes. So anybody who really wants to be seen as an authority, but they also have, pretty established businesses. Mm-hmm. So I'm really not the one that, starts you out. I think that media a lot of times is, you already need to be generating some income. I mean, I definitely think it can grow your income. And I don't want to say it's a luxury, but I think that there are other things that you can do to immediately impact your income if you are just starting out. I don't know if media is the right fit for people just then.
So that's kind of next level, I guess.
It's a little mid-level, I think. Mm-hmm. I think that I've developed a system where, because honestly, if you really go and you want to hire a PR agency, you could end up paying $5,000 a month retainer with no guarantees that you're going to get any media. It's not, you can't make any guarantees. But I've really developed a system where systematically we're pitching you, and my highest fee is $1,000 a month, and that's if you want international media. So that that's quite a chunk of money, even though I think it's really great for what we do, but in this space, but it's still a lot of extra money. Yeah. So you do have to be kind of mid-level with a business that's generating some income before you come work with me.
Right. Okay. And you give a lot of advice to authors on your website as well.
I give advice to authors because I think that's a big part of establishing your expertise. I give a lot of advice. I mean, I give a lot of advice, period. I give out a lot of free content. I do a lot of free webinars because at the end of the day, I want everybody to be successful. And I think that there's a lot that people can do on their own to get media and to get visibility before they pay somebody else to help them do it. Right. And so I like being in that space.
Right.
I mean, I give out a ton of stuff.
So I'm guessing that's something you would recommend to somebody, if they're starting out, for instance, to try and generate as much noise on their own as possible, generate as much content as possible. So that whole content is king.
Content is king. And I think that the thing that a lot of people miss is, you can't sit in your living room and say, oh, I'm an expert. I'm an expert. People know I'm an expert because they're not going to know you're an expert, right? And so if you're not on social media talking about your expertise and really showcasing what you do, one, your client can't find you, right? And social media has made this world very small where you can I have clients in Africa, I have clients in Australia, you can have clients anywhere, because you're out there telling them what you do. But also the media can't find you, right? And so if I'm looking for an expert house painter that knows how to paint in 3 different shades of red, that's crazy, but if that's what I'm looking for, I don't know anybody like that right offhand, that's not in my Rolodex. So what am I going to do? I'm going to Google it and I'm going to see who pops up. And you're not going to pop up if you're not out there on the internet creating content about painting houses red, talking about painting houses red on Twitter, doing a Facebook Live about how to paint your house red. Nobody's going to know, right? And so I've had clients that have come to me from media, and the first thing I tell them to do is, well, I want you to do a weekly Facebook Live, and they're like, well, that's not why I came to you, but that's what I want you to do. Right. And so when they do it, and then 3 weeks later, they're like, oh my God, I got 10 clients. I was like, so now you can pay me to go get you some media, right? It works really well. But it's not, I don't advocate you do one or the other. I think it all works together. But you have got to talk about your expertise to the world. And social media has made that so easy. And I think that one thing I love people to know is now the media looks at people who want the media as partners. So it's not even, it used to be that, we were the big dogs and, we were doing this, this huge favor and putting you in front of our audience and changing your business and changing your life. But now we need people, the media needs us just as much as we need them. Because if you're out there talking about your expertise and you're building your following and you got a tribe, and we put you on our platform and you tell your tribe about us, maybe we've got new listeners. So your platform and our platform, we can start to combine platforms now. So we're looking for people who are, and I'm not talking about, you have to have 1 million followers, but you have to be out there engaging. If that's 1,000, if that's 250, we just want to know that you're going to spread the word and that you have somebody to spread the word to. So there's a lot of different levels to it. But it's all very doable. And social media is basically free. It's why not? Why not?
Well, and that's the irony as well. At the moment, it's kind of free. But obviously, as you kind of alluded to earlier, one of the key things it sounds like you need to do is to make sure that you have a kind of funnel that you put people in.
Well, yeah, but funnels are free too. If you want to do it right, you have to obviously pay for a service. There are different services that help you automate the process and take some of the work off of you. But, you can get started, I used Google Drive, to store documents and, just give them a Google Drive link. That's free. You can figure it out. I think that a lot of us make do until we are generating some income. One of the things that I advise people against is to not just spend all this money up front to get the flash. We want the flash, we want, we want the Mercedes before we've driven the Honda. And so you have to be very smart, about where you put literally. Do you have, what do you use for your email service?
It's a mixture of stuff.
Okay.
So it's connected to the hosting platform.
Okay. So for me, and I didn't want to use a reference if it was going to just not be impactful. But when I first started, I didn't even start because there's MailChimp, there's Constant Contact. There's a lot of different, autoresponders and CRMs and all of that. I went straight to Infusionsoft.
Oh, wow.
Which is which is the Mercedes where I should have started with the Honda, right? But I thought, but people were like, that's what you got to have. If you want to be successful in business, that's what you got to have.
Yeah.
And it's a great product. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Once you know how to use it, and have enough people where it's, it makes sense.
Sure.
And so you really have to kind of look out there and talk to people who have been there and done that. I could have gone and gotten a free MailChimp account.
Yeah.
until I really built, it up and then started transferring, and all of that stuff. And so you really have to be careful. I suggest to people, if you are really serious about being an entrepreneur, you want to be in business, you want to do something special, get a coach. I would put my money there.
Okay.
So that you can, first of all, shorten the process, because it takes a lot longer when you're trying to figure it out on your own than just going to somebody who's done that.
Yeah.
And then do the flash later once you have a solid foundation for building your business.
So where would you recommend someone finds a coach that can help them at that stage?
I think I would watch people like on social media, like watch them on LinkedIn. I like LinkedIn for vetting people.
Right.
It's like if I see you on Twitter and I'm like, oh, they're pretty good, then I go straight to LinkedIn.
Are you a catfish?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So on Twitter, you can say it in 140 characters. And so I think anybody can get by with a lot of stuff on Twitter. So, but on LinkedIn, you can say a lot more. So I would watch people. I would ask other people if there's somebody that or you're connected to that seems to have done so. Ask them if they've had a coach. But I do suggest that people always do their research. One of the biggest issues I think I've seen that people have is they just hire a coach. They don't vet the coach. They're afraid to ask the coach questions. And then they're upset with the experience that they got from the coach.
Right.
Coaches, anybody can be a coach. Anybody can say they're a coach.
Sure.
And so I say, if you ask a coach, like, can I talk to two of your your clients that have worked with you? Or can I see some of your testimonials? Or, can I see something you've done for them? And they say I don't do that. Then you need to find somebody else, because there's nobody that's had any success with a client. And this, that won't brag about it. Like, go call them so they can tell you how fabulous I am. Right.
Yeah.
And so, if they say, no, we don't do that, I won't give you a client to talk to, then there's something wrong, and I would find somebody else. So definitely just do your research, talk to them. I may be perfectly qualified to coach you, but personality wise, we may not get along. Like, I am not the fluff person. I am not the, it's going to be okay kind of person. You better drop and give me 20. Right? Because I just want the results, but I just have a different personality type. And so you have to make sure that you're with the person. And so one of the questions that I love to ask people, like, what are your expectations? How do you think this is going to go? Like, the first week we have a coaching call and you haven't done anything, like, what do you think is going to happen? And so if they think that I'm going to hold their hand and say everything's going to be okay, that's not what it is. Because I'm not successful if you're not successful.
Yeah.
And so if you're not willing to do the work, then you need to find somebody else, because I'm also not going to take your money and not do anything. So you just have to be very clear. It is a process. It's like a relationship. You don't just kind of pick a coach and hope for the best.
Sure. And I can imagine that the kind of people that come to you are not the kind of people that are going to sit on their hands anyway.
No. No, because they've already attained a certain amount of, success in their business. So they know what it takes. It's not easy. I have clients who, are transitioning out. So they want to build their platform. They want to get some visibility through the media so they can build their income. And building a business and working a job at the same time is not easy. No. I've done it. It's a lot of long days. It's a lot of longer nights, lack of sleep. And trust me, I got up every morning. I did mornings for my entire career. So I was up as a single mom at 2:30 in the morning, to go to work.
Yeah.
So then after that, I had to work on my business and raise my children. I mean, it is not for the faint of heart at all.
No.
So it takes a certain kind of person to want to put in that work. It really does.
And consistently as well, because it's obviously something you can't just...
You're right. There's always going to be something. And I'll tell you, when you talk about like spirit, mind, body balance, I mean, sometimes you just have to make a decision, right? Because I loved my job. I loved what I did. I didn't have the, I hate this, I got to get out of it, so I'm building a business.
Yeah.
I just knew there was more I had to do. But at one point I had to look at what it was doing to my family, look at the time we weren't able to spend together because I was building a business and working a job, a very demanding job. I'd be the only mom at a baseball game with a laptop,
Yeah.
And it would so funny. My kids be like, well, Mom, why don't they the other mommies have laptops? And I'll be like, well, their moms aren't crazy like your mom. So, so I just had to make a different decision. And that's why I resigned from my job and really focused on my business, full time, because I wanted the freedom to spend with them before I kick them out of the house and they go to college and they're never allowed back. I say that all the time. They're like, do you really mean it? Yeah, I mean, that's what they say. I want it to be ingrained in that you can't come back once you leave. And I wanted to make those memories with them. So it really became about, how am I going to remain sane? It's not working and building a business. And how am I going to, have the best experience with my family before, they're grown-ups and adults and have their own families, So sometimes you just have to make a different decision, but it's hard.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
This is SourceLife Show, with experts from around the world in mind, body, spirit, personal growth and business development. We broadcast across America every Wednesday and Friday and on 195 countries around the world. For your chance to put your business in front of thousands of Americans, visit sourcelifeshow.com/sponsor. That's SOURCE lifeshow.com/sponsor.
Obviously, you enjoyed what you were doing before with the whole radio show and the production and everything, but then there was some sort of shift that happened within you that led you to following this path. Can you identify an event, or was it just something that happened over time?
No, I think it was just something. I think it was more realization than an event. It's like I just saw people struggling because they could not reach the people. They couldn't get eyes on their product. They couldn't get eyes on their book. And so they weren't making any money. And these were people who had powerful messages that they wanted to impact the world with. And I just knew that there was something that had to be done to help them get that message out to the world. And so it just was this sudden realization. Well, not sudden, it was a slow realization. And then, like I said, I went through the different transitions. So first I just focused on social media because it was really early on in the social media world and nobody knew what they were doing. And then I realized that a lot of people that were coming to me for social media were authors, because they would go to traditional publishing houses. And this is interesting too. They would go to traditional publishing houses and the publishing house would be like, great book. You're qualified to write it. We love it. Go get some followers and then come back.
Yeah.
Because what the publishing houses don't do anymore is they don't sell your book for you like they used to. So they are expecting people to bring customers with them. And so they would come to me, we would build their following, they'd get a publishing deal and go on about their business. And so then I moved into really helping people write the book and get the following. And, so it's been this progression. And I think that I'm where I'm supposed to be now. And I think I've gotten some of the knowledge that I needed to have to be here. But there was no big event.
No.
I think me resigning from my job though has definitely given me more fire for it, because I realize how hard it is, even for me in my position. And I tell people that all the time, not to brag or anything, but I could call the White House, right? I could call, there were people that I could call. I was known. I had a platform already. People would want to work with me just because of who I was and who I was attached to.
Yeah.
And I struggled. So I know that there are people out there like I struggle. So I know what it feels like. And I don't want that for anybody. I don't want for anybody to have to make a decision between the light bill or, whether or not they're going to put gas in the car to go to work. That sucks. And so, and it's not hard. It's not that difficult. And it's not that expensive if you really have somebody that's giving you the blueprint. And I think that a lot of it you can get. online just by following certain people and learning and doing something. And then when you're generating some revenue, you can hire some people to teach you some, to get you to the next level. I don't think that, like, I still have coaches. Like, I don't think that you ever grow out of needing somebody else to help you get to the next level. And I think that's important for people to know. I was talking to a client yesterday. She's like, I will just be so glad when everything falls into place and it's just easy. I go, well, you better go work at Walmart, because if you're trying to do something big and something great, it is never going to just fall right into place and be easy. Because as soon as you accomplish something, then you got the next thing that you got to do.
Yeah.
I was like, when everything falls into place, we're going to be walking through those pearly gates because we have finished our job. We have done what we were supposed to do, and it is over. So I think people just have to kind of settle in that, it's not just this, smooth rose-colored road to success. You don't ever really make it. There's always going to be a next level to get to, and you're always going to need mentors. You're always going to need coaches. You're always going to need somebody else to help you do that.
Yeah. And it's, and I guess an awareness that it's a roller coaster.
It can be. It's not, yes. It's like I was talking to another friend of mine, another colleague who's an entrepreneur, and we were talking about like wanting to quit and going back to being an employee. And I was like, well, how often did you want to quit? I was like, I think I'm on my third time. She's like, I quit once a month. Because you just never know. You just never know.
Yeah.
It could be rolling, and then all of a sudden, like I said, the thing that happened in Houston, then you got 10 clients who, can't pay, and you can't make them pay, because obviously, taking care of your family and being safe and secure is much more important than paying me. But that impacts, though, what I do in my business and my family. And so then I have to figure it out, and so, you can go from like, okay, everybody, champagne on me. And you're like, okay, well, we're eating noodles for dinner all this week, and so it's just a different feel. Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you stay sane though in that kind of environment? What would you recommend?
You're not sane.
No.
and you know what? And talking to other people. I think that even as women on just a personal level, I think that we always feel that we're the only ones going through it.
Yeah.
Right. And that nobody else has ever experienced what we're going through. And so then we don't want to talk to about it. We don't tell anybody. And I remember I was kind of at the lowest point where, I was like, God, I don't think I can do this. It's like, my mortgage is sitting here, and, even though it's going to get paid, it's never been late before. And then like, look at my credit. Like I had this whole doomsday scenario that was about to happen. And a colleague and dear friend of mine happened to be staying with me. And she's like, okay, well, that was me last month. And then that was me, in August. It's just the way it is. And obviously we don't want it to stay that way. We want to grow past it and have some security. We want to save money and be able to retire one day and do all of that. But there are points where it may be hard, and that's okay. What's not okay, I think, is to not find support. And not talk to anybody. I think I know more depressed entrepreneurs than I've ever known anybody, because it's just a difficult process, and it can be difficult. And so I just one of the things I encourage is like that people join different organizations, different female entrepreneurs especially, join different organizations or create a circle of your own, or check on another entrepreneur, because sometimes, you just never know what people are going through. And I think one of the drawbacks to social media is that everybody has to show up living their best life.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So everybody is, they're smiling and they're on a plane or they're on a boat, but they're dying inside.
Yeah.
Because they think nobody else is going through it.
And that's such a shame, because so many people have a message that they want to deliver, or, they found their purpose, and yet they're struggling with the mechanics of it, or, maybe some mental health issues behind it. And you're right. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs that have just
it's like I did this whole photo shoot, and people were like, we do photo shoots all the time because it's just a part of the job. And everybody was like, oh my God, you're gorgeous. I was like, well, please no, I did not wake up like this. Like, this was like 3 hours worth of work. So let us be clear, because I don't want anybody to ever look at me and think that, I live this fabulous life. Like, I walk around, with a full face of makeup. I mean, no. And so I think that these shows especially are really important because we have to be authentic. Because if not, we're setting somebody else up for failure. Because if you compare your life to somebody, especially that you just see on social media that you think is just killing it, and you say, oh my God, I'm a failure because my life doesn't look like that, then we're setting, because we know it's not true. You may be killing it on a Monday, but Tuesday may not be so great. And we need to be honest about that on Tuesday too. Like, I want everybody to live their best life, but we know that it's not always going to be roses. What I do love is people that show you how to get through those times, right? Like, I want you to know, I don't know if I necessarily talk about it when I'm struggling, but I want you to know I struggled, and I want you to know what I did to get through it. Because when you show that to people, it makes their journey a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, shows that you're human and that it's not all, the show reel that so many people are forcing themselves to put out every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I think sometimes people will look at you and look at like what you've accomplished after like 20 years of hard work.
Yeah.
And think that, you've never been through anything. And so for a long time, being in the public eye, there were things I wanted to keep to myself. Like, I didn't want them to have my entire life. Right. Sure. And so, like, I was raped when I was a sophomore in college. I was raped, I was beaten, and I was left for dead. And I was suicidal. I would say I was suicidal, but I didn't really want to kill. I don't think I would have killed myself, but if like I died, I was okay. I would have been okay with that. Like, I was in so much pain. I just wanted it to end, but I wasn't going to hurt myself. And it got so bad when I was home for one summer. Like, if my mom called home and I didn't answer the phone, she would leave work and she would come home to make sure that I was okay.
Oh my God.
But people will look at you and say that you've never been through anything because you're at this point in your life. And so I think it's important for people to know that you could literally want to die and still turn your life around. Like, still decide that this is not the way it's going to end. I think everything in life is a choice: to be happy, to be not. Clearly, some of us need some extra help through counseling, and some of us need some extra help through maybe medication or whatever, because I think some people do get so depressed that they need just a little bit of extra help to get the fog away so they can see things more clearly. But you have to make a decision. And there was just one day I just decided I can't continue to put my mom through that. I can't continue to put my dad through that. I want to live a good life. But it was a decision. And you make that decision, a lot. You have to remake that decision. Like, there's some days you just want to stay in bed. You don't want to get up. And you have to, again, make the decision that you want to live your best life and get out of bed and go. And I want people to know that these things can happen. I want people to know that. It's like, I look at, and I can't think of her name, but she was burned over like 90% of her body.
Wow.
And she walks around like in tank tops and, and she's just, she just has this amazing spirit. And she's like, I'm not going to hide. This is who I am now. I'm not going to hide it. And I love that.
Yeah.
My niece, I have a 23-year-old niece. And when she went to college, I sat her down and I had that, I talked to her about it, the dangers of sometimes, hanging out with the wrong people, because I knew the person. It wasn't like a stranger. I knew the person. And she's like, do you wish that hadn't happened? And I think on some level you do, but I don't know what kind of person I would have been if it hadn't happened. I think when you go through things like that, you then have this unshakable confidence that you can make it through anything. And even though sometimes it gets a little scary, you always have something to fall back on. Like, I absolutely don't know like who I would have been or what I would have done if I hadn't gone through it. So yeah, you don't want to wish it on anybody. I certainly, could have think of other things that I could have gone through, like, winning the lotto, see what kind of person I would have turned out then. But I wouldn't be who I am today. And I love who I am today. So I accept all of what, it took to get me here.
And obviously, as traumatic as that event was, it's gone into making you who you are today.
Absolutely.
and, you know, and helping you to help other people through that and the understanding. So as tough as it is, it's obviously served a purpose for you, and fantastic that you found that.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, and I think one of the other things, and I just love the way life works and how it's in layers and it all works together. I think another thing that it did for me, not telling the story, when I told the story and I saw how it affected people, even my niece, where she was like, wow, you know, that's, she looked at me differently, you know, in a good way. And so I think it re-emphasized to me the importance of people being authentic, like you said earlier, and showing up and telling your story. Because I wouldn't understand like why so many people connected to me that had similar experiences. And even though it's prevalent, so it's not like it's a rare thing. But I think people know that I was wounded like that at one point too, whether I said it or not.
Sure.
And so that encouraged me to start talking about it more, so that other people could find me that may not be able to sense my energy as clearly as other people. And, you know, you truly find a tribe. Yeah. And so yeah, just reemphasize, but it's just interesting, like how all those kind of layers kind of work together to really bring you to where you're supposed to be.
So powerful to share that story as well. That's just amazing. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for making it a safe space to share. It's not always easy. So thank you.
I'll do my best.
You do a good job.
Bless you.
That accent helps. And like you always just fall in love with the accents. You should be broadcast to all of our homes. You should come
God.
People, Idris Elba would not be nearly as fine if he had an American accent.
Don't. Oh.
He would not. No, yeah, he would be.
No, he would. I'm getting hot over here. Put the fan back on.
Accent is not hurt.
Oh, God. Oh, right. Anyway, moving on. God, you throw me that. What question would you have liked me to have asked you that I haven't?
I don't think that there is a question that you didn't ask. This is one of my favorite things to do, is like to talk. I mean, I've made a living talking for a good long time. And just having a conversation, I think, is the most important part of it. It's like, one of the other things that I've started doing recently is working with people who want to be journalists and want to be broadcasters. And interviews are very tricky things. And I find that most people, like, they know, like, they have their set of questions, they know where they want to go, what they want to ask. But unfortunately, when you're so focused on your list of questions, you miss like a lot of good stuff because you're not even paying attention to the answer because you're so focused on getting to your next question. So when you emailed me, you sent the nicest email and you were like, we're just gonna have a conversation. And I was like, bet. Bet. It's like people will say, do you want me to send you a list? No, I don't want to see your questions. I don't want you to have a list of questions, but I really don't want to see your list of questions. Yeah. Because then I will prepare my answers based on your list of questions. And it just won't go the way that I think it went. And I think that we talked about a lot of things that I certainly didn't plan on talking about. I don't think you planned on talking about it. But I think obviously it was important that we talked about it. Yeah. We get it out there. That's Max. We get it out there so that people know, and people can understand, who I am and what I do. And, and it helps them and gives them permission to be who they are and to do what they do. I think every time somebody tells their story or shares something hard or really is authentic and transparent, it gives other people permission to do the same. And I think the more, transparency we have in this world, the better. I mean, I think that it's, we're just missing that human element. People think they forget the social and social media, and so we just kind of like do all of these random connections, but nobody really connects. And so conversations like this, meeting people offline, I think it's so important. And so this has been fun for me.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Yes. Now, obviously, your website is nikkywoodsmedia.com, but where else can people find you?
I am everywhere on social media. I love the big four. I love Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So I'm Nikki Woods everywhere. And I love to meet people. I love to connect. And I try my best to take it beyond just, like a friend request, and then we're, connected and we wave at each other and then that's it.
Yeah.
I really do want to know what people do. I think so many of us have so many special talents that could be lent to other things that I want to know who people are. I really do. Of course, we can't know who everybody is because there's like billions of us, but I do my
best. You try and connect to everybody.
Yeah, on social media.
Yeah, it's the power of the internet today. It's a different world.
It's a very small world.
Isn't it?
Very small world.
Thank you, Nikki. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing all your knowledge and being so open and honest with us today. So thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you. I never take it lightly when somebody opens up their world to me and introduces me to their friends and their, your family, your audience out there. So I love it. And I would love to have you on my platform. So I know can meet you. So we'll make that happen. But I'm pleased to meet you. And if there's ever anything I can do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining me, your host, Ayse D, on the SourceLife Show today. We feature experts from around the world in mind, body, spirit, personal growth and business development, and broadcast every Wednesday and Friday across the US. For more, visit sourcelifeshow.com. That's SOURCE lifeshow.com.